Go.
Welcome to BSA discussion panel. We're here with two criminal justice professors. We have 3 topics today that we will be discussing. Ms. Maleckar and Mr. Gianna. First topic of the day is community involvement versus community control, and I just would like y'all's opinion on that topic.
Well, I think that they really go hand in hand. When we talk about community control, what comes to mind to me is community control sanctions for someone who's been convicted of a criminal offense. And if we're serious at all about stopping the cycle of offending, we have to get community involvement in as part of that, so we can reintegrate someone into the community and help to diminish the negative effect of all of those collateral consequences that come along with a criminal conviction.
I would have to agree with that. The court sentence to defendants and stuff always have some sort of community control, whether it's after a jail sentence or prison sentence, and then usually some post-release control. And in other cases today, we're now trying to rehabilitate people before and instead of going to prison or jail. So, but the problem with that is that we need people in the community to also be involved. Not only the neighbors and stuff, but you need the local employers to be able to employ people that have maybe a possible problem with past criminal history. You need neighbors to be watching, the people that are out in the streets and stuff, and to be able to call the police when they see that something is wrong, so that we can keep people, into a community control program.
I just thought that was going to be. I think the neighborhood should definitely be involved within the community as far as like safety-wise, like safety precautions and stuff like that. Yeah, not really any other thoughts.
Definitely can't do it alone. Teamwork is the key piece in all of this. Next topic is the death penalty and just how we feel as individuals on the death penalty.
Well, as a former prosecutor, I guess my viewpoint is surprising to some people. I am not in favor of the death penalty, and that is a viewpoint that has evolved over the years. I have to say that when I began practicing law and I was a new prosecutor, I thought that the death penalty was a good thing. I'm opposed to it for a number of reasons, and this is probably a venue where we just don't have enough time to go into it. But one of them is that I truly believe it's barbaric. If you look at the other countries that have the death penalty versus those that have abolished, the countries that we would most like to emulate and agree with do not have the death penalty. The other thing is sometimes the criminal justice system gets it wrong, and death is irrevocable.
Well, I'm a proponent for the death penalty, and the reason why I'm a proponent for the death penalty is because it's so little used as it is. If you take a look at the most recent school shooting, in which we have a young man who has committed a heinous crime, and we take a look at what his punishment should be, it should probably be the death penalty. But in this case, we can also negotiate. We can use it as a negotiating tool in various cases. And already, the attorneys for the shooter at the schools down in Florida has indicated that they would be willing to plead him guilty right away to take the death penalty off. If you look at the statistics of the use of the death penalty and people that are on death row, in reality, more people on death row die of old age rather than being put to death. Also, the appellate process is long and extracted in most states and stuff, all the way up to the United States Supreme Court. But I do agree with Ms. Maleckar that in a lot of cases we do get some cases wrong. But I think there's cases in which we absolutely have no question about the guilt of a person that I think we should be able to use a death penalty.
I agree with the death penalty. I believe certain cases should be used for the death penalty, such as pedophilia or mass murder, like with the example of the school shooting, premeditated murder, stuff like certain things should be used for death. Because life is taken, I feel like certain people, putting them in jail won't necessarily teach them lesson or rehab. Rehabilitation doesn't necessarily work because when you let them out, they continue with those same patterns and those same habits that they've been doing, so it doesn't change anything, it just hurts more people. I wouldn't say use the death penalty loosely, and obviously it's not, but I do agree with it for some circumstance. Yeah.
I definitely disagree with the death penalty. I believe it's contradictory. And I just believe it teaches bad habits. So with that said, we're going to move on to the next topic. Oh, should police officers have college degrees?
I definitely think police officers should have college degrees. We do not have an opportunity to provide enough training for police officers in the limited number of hours of the police academy. And it's not academically rigorous training. I think an educated police officer is a better police officer. Also, a college education affords an opportunity to interact with people from all different cultures, all different races, and I think one of the major problems in American policing today is police officers who are uncomfortable and unfamiliar with the very citizens they are supposed to protect and serve.
In 1968, the Omnibus Crime Control and Safe Streets Act was passed, and included in that passage of that bill was funds for police officers to get college degrees. What was stated in that bill was that by 1980, all police officers should have at least an associate's degree, and by 1985, all police officers were supposed to have a bachelor's degree. Well, that has not been followed. There was never really a legal mandate for it. It was more of almost a request, but funds were made available. Some people took advantage of that. And then, in addition to that, we know that police academies today are still teaching the same archaic type training that has been used for years and years and years. The quality of training and education is so old and so different from what it should be today to stay abreast with contemporary community standards and beliefs. If you take a look at the training today, it's an us versus them mentality. Whereas if you get a college education and you're integrated with people from various walks of life, we will mature officers, and they will become much better officers, inclined to understand what the communities want, what the citizens want, and have a better understanding of the world around them rather than their own personal home space.
So I'm not really for or against degrees of police officers, but I do think that even though I think education is very important and it would make a police officer have a better experience of dealing with people, I don't necessarily think it's going to change that much as far as the police stance with the community, because a lot of college or higher institutions of learning are PWI, and so when you're going to a predominantly white institution, you're not really knowing a lot of other cultures or expanding your horizon on people that you'd be dealing with. You'd be dealing with the same people you've always known, always dealt with, so it's not necessarily going to help any case per se as far as educating yourself in the community as being police officers.
Okay, my take on that, I don't necessarily think they need college degrees, but I would like to see more control and more understanding when you're talking to a suspect. And with that, I believe you can get education from that, control, understanding that goes along with education. And that's all for today's video. See you next time at the BSA discussion panel.